Alright, we just left Kos, the island of Kos in Greece. It's right behind me.
We're in the Dodecanese Islands of Greece with our friends Connor and Andre. We love these quaint and lightly inhabited islands. We hope you do too.
We are sailing along the southwestern point of Kos, and we're coming around this point here. Got like a knife edge to the ridge up there. We left this morning from Astapalea, and about a 30-mile journey across. We had some nice winds up to 20 knots or so on a beam reach, so some good sailing there, and very, very smooth except for just getting swells on the beam, but otherwise it was good sailing conditions. Get around this point, we go another 4 or 5 miles up into an anchorage. We'll see what that's like.
We will probably be a little dead in the water here in a moment.
It's almost like a man of the mountain thing up there. Look at that. Up there at the that ridge hanging up over the edge. And now we lose our wind behind this big point, but it's worth it for its beauty.
With the day's sail from Astapalea behind us, we were eager to drop the hook and stretch our legs on shore. We picked the western, more industrial end of the beach town of Kephilos on the southwestern shore of Kos. With not much to see or do in Kephilos, we left the next morning to snorkel off the island of Giali, just to the south of us. Snorkeling was pretty good here. It's the first place we saw these cool orange anemones, whose flowery tentacles quickly pop inside their white shell when something gets close. As you can see, we were pretty enthralled with recording these guys. We also saw this vibrant orange starfish. Giali is known for mining pummace. Unfortunately, we didn't see that aspect this visit, but our research shows there might be good reason to stop by the southern coast on our way back out of the Greek waters, whenever that might be. Next stop, Kos Town. We stayed in the Kos Marina to be protected from the predicted overnight winds, and this gave us the peace of mind to leave our boat for long stretches to explore both the ancient town of Kos and to visit the inland archaeological site of the Asclepion on Kos, which is another center of ancient medical knowledge and activities, this one associated with Hippocrates. And Asclepion is a temple dedicated to the god of medicine, Asclepios. The Kos Asclepion is the largest of its kind in the world. According to Greek mythology, Asclepios, offspring of Apollo, learned the art of healing from a centaur named Chiron. Though originating as myth, this god's influence on modern medicine and healing is real. Hippocrates, largely considered the father of modern medicine, practiced in the Asclepion on Kos. He founded his famous school here, and this is widely recognized as the first time medicine became a profession in human history. Medical students worldwide today take an oath of ethics, often called the Hippocratic Oath, in honor of the history Hippocrates laid. The original oath swore to numerous mythological gods, but had ethics at its core. The Greeks' history with healing is truly remarkable. While strolling Old Coast Town later that night, we might have jumped a fence surrounding the town's own archaeological treasures. We were looking for the famous plane tree of Hippocrates. The next day, we found it easily, outside the fence. In fact, just a few feet from where we enjoyed a wonderful dinner. I'm blaming it on the wine. We did have to legally visit the town archaeological site during the daylight hours, however, and seeing these mosaics was reason enough, but we were also treated with a visit to their amphitheater and other centers of ancient activities for the long-ago coast residents.
All right, we just left Kos, the island of Kos in Greece. It's right behind me, over there in the distance, and we visited an archaeological site up on sort of the foothills there, which was connected to Hippocrates, and so that was really great. A lot of medical history there. The other great thing about Kos is that it's just across the water from Turkey, so all this area land across there where that ferry boat is in distance and all that, that's all Turkey. Around kind of deep in that bay is Bodrum, and this is all Turkey over here as well. So it's probably one of the closest points, I would imagine, between Greece and Turkey. Maybe there's some places a little further north, but it's great for us to be able to kind of have a sneak peek at Turkey and not have to visit there yet. I'm sure we'll get there and visit there probably in the springtime next year. But for this trip, we're going to stay cleared into Greece, and we're hauling out here in a couple days. So very cool to get a little glimpse of Turkey. We are going up to an island called Saramos, this island right up here. So we have a short trip today, about 8-9 miles. We're going to anchor inside the bay up there, and beyond the bay is another island called Kalymnos, and then beyond Kalymnos, and probably that area way in the distance, is Leros, where we're going to haul out here at the end of the week. All right, we are anchored up in the southern tip of Saramos, and we just got settled in here. Connor's going out to swim on the anchor. We got it in a pretty good sandy spot, but he's just going to check to make sure it's set okay. Well, good?
I'm not sure. Just look at it.
Sort of. Okay, I'll check it out. All right. So we got a nice spot here. Pretty quiet cove, except for these fishing boats. And it looks like there might be some tourist boats that come here during the daytime. I can see some floats up there by the beach. One reviewer mentioned hike up to the top of the mountain here, so we may do that either this evening for a little sunset view, or maybe tomorrow morning. And the only other sign of civilization is these electrical poles that travel across here and go to around the corner of the point here. And there was kind of a military installation there with some camouflaged buildings and otherwise some white buildings that are completely uncamouflaged. And those buildings look like they're meant for a lookout or maybe a gun post for protecting their border, because this is one of the closest border points to Turkey and the extremity of the Greek border. So kind of interesting there. It doesn't look terribly heavily used, which is good. So we're going to enjoy an evening here. We've got pork chops planned for the barbecue and some of Connor's special sauce. So we're looking forward to some good cooking tonight.
In the morning, we hiked up the hillside for expansive views and refreshing breezes. Late September is still quite hot in the Greek islands. We knew of tensions between Greece and Turkey as we researched sailing in this area. and over the last several days we had been hearing warnings broadcast by Turkish Marine Patrol about passing into their waters. As you can see, there's not a lot of wiggle room as you navigate between these islands. If you're tacking for optimal sail or wind angles, the challenges increase. We heard specific boats called out on the radio if their intentions were not made sufficiently clear. We also noticed a huge Greek flag made of painted stones on the southeast point of land on this island, and given its proximity to Turkey's mainland, the purpose was obvious. Then we recalled seeing this government patrol boat on the dock in Kos Marina. I kept thinking throughout last evening how strange it was to be on our personal boat in a body of water where political tensions were quite high. After lunch back on board, we motored the very short distance to the tiny island of Plati. We were all eager for a swim. We were excited that we had actually found some very good snorkeling.
Alright, we just got done with snorkeling at the island behind me, which is called Plati. A small, low-lying island, probably a mile long, no more. And it was a nice fun spot, all these little spots along the way that you can decide where to drop your anchor in. And we did that, and just finished up lunch. So we're going to do a little circumnavigating of Plati just to check out some other spots along the area. It is now in between Saramos and Kalymnos. So nice stop. We're going to check out, maybe do a little more swimming. We saw some more of these used artillery shells, a whole cluster, probably a pile of 10 of them under the water near the shoreline. Nothing that looked like it was potentially explosive. The inside of the shells were all empty and fish were swimming in them and using them as habitat. So that was kind of fun to see. We also have a lot of these golettes. You can see one right through the break in the land there. About 8 or 10 of them left the town of Kos this morning and all kind of marched across. There's another one in the distance over there. You can see one passing through this gap here. So here's one of those golettes I was mentioning. I think the name is Odyssey. And you can see that got a lot of people on board and perfect boat for kind of going into coves. And then they have that long gangway on the back that they back into the old harbor at Kos to take on passengers. Probably going to go in somewhere along where we were just anchored. All right, so we're going to do this little passage between the north part of Plati here and this little stub of an island that's got a light on it. And I'm going to get busy watching for Karen to look for and try to avoid any shallow areas.
We continued our circumnavigation of Plati and enjoyed a final snorkel off the southern tip of this tiny island. While the afternoon water was murky from being stirred up by so many passing boats, we were still able to see some interesting fish and a beautiful set of haystack rock formations.
Stay at home or in a foreign land. I can stay like this forever, 'cause I got the world
Our hope was to be able to secure a spot in the small harbor of Vathis, deep inside a fjord on the eastern coast of Kalymnos. We kept our fingers crossed as we wound our way through this narrow opening. If we weren't able to find a spot here, our other options would leave us quite exposed, and the winds were predicted to batter this side of Kalymnos over the next couple days. Luckily, we were able to go stern to the public dock after we dropped our anchor pretty much right against this rock wall. What a day! However, we each craved one more thing to put a cherry on top of this amazingly full day. Yep, a cold beer. A stroll around town made us aware that this area is famous for harvesting sea sponges. Of course, we had to pick up a couple. The harbor was just darling and quintessential Greece. In the morning, we rented a car for a day of land-based exploration. The curvy roads mostly lined the coastline, so the views were stunning all day. By late afternoon, we were making our way back into Vathis, where we would stay on the dock for a second night. We enjoyed an incredible fish dinner for our friends last night on board. In the morning, Connor and Andre would use the rental car to get to the town on the other side of the island that was near the airport for their final night in Greece. Please subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get notified of new videos.
Captain says we're coming in hot. We are.
Join us next time as we enjoy the last sail of the season, making our way from Kalymnos north to the island of Leros, where we would have Sea Rose hauled out of the water for her winter's rest. Thanks for watching.
On Leros, sad day. The Sea Rose comes out of the water, but a good season.